Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are in the world. My name's Jade, and this is The Odd Couple Rant. And today my very special guest is Pete Johns, and we're going to be talking about taboo. Tariffs. Let's get into it with the 1% by Pete Johns. That's age.
When you open your eyes up to the sky above and see the world, there is nothing that you can do but close your eyes again, 'cause you don't like what you're seeing, and you don't like what it means, and you don't want to believe it, 'cause you're part of the 1%. When you open your mind up to the evidence you don't believe, there is nothing that you can do but close your mind again, 'cause you don't want to admit it, that you don't know what to do, and you don't have all the answers, 'cause you're part of the 1%. When you open your heart up to the people who need your help, there is nothing that you can do but turn and walk away, 'cause you don't care. What can you do? And it's their fault anyway, and you just don't understand it, 'cause you're part of the 1%.
Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are in the world. My name's Jade, and this is The Rant, The Odd Couple Rant. God, that was a bit close. Anyway, let's cut through it. We do this once a month. I do a rant here every kind of week here on the channel where I just sit here and rant about stuff. But every month I have a guest come and join me. And this week's guest is Pete Johns. He's been a regular on this show for a long time. And we're going to talk about the taboo today. We're going to talk about tariffs. Who's ready to be offended? Let's just bring him on. Ladies and gentlemen, Pete Johns.
Yay! You know what? I love talking about economic policy. It takes me right back to year 12. It's wonderful.
Me too. I just love it. This is what I signed up for on YouTube.
Yeah. Remember when politics, you could choose whether you cared about them? They weren't just forced upon you all the time. Like, that's the way I'm feeling now. It's like, I used to love the fact that I didn't have to care, and now everyone has to care, and it's awful.
Ever since politics has become a sport, Pete, it's, when I really, I never realized it had become a sport until I actually moved to America and lived there for 2 years. And I'll never forget being at my friend's house and watching the DNC big thing they have. Right,
Yep.
It was like a month before the election order. Being in America and watching that live, and the spectacle, the balloons falling, and the craziness, and it was just like, am I literally watching the Super Bowl? Is this what? And it really has become a. We are just divided into these teams. We've got our colours. We're way about some of us anyway.
Some of us, and it is so weird. Sorry, we'll go off on tangents, but welcome aboard, folks. That's what we do on these shows.
Yes.
It is so weird because it'd be like they fight within their own team to start with to decide who's then going to be the champion to go fight the other team, which is the weirdest thing. So the person that could be saying, "Oh, that person's the biggest piece of crap I've ever come across," and then the next week they're saying, "I would like to honor our nominee piece of crap." And it's like, imagine that if you have like the Adelaide Crows had to get together and fight amongst each other to work out who gets to play for them, and then they go play the Sydney Swans. It makes zero sense. But hey, it is what it is. We might be saying that.
It is what it is. Well, I better start off by letting people know who the bloody hell you are. So on these rants, we ask our guests to give us a 1-minute elevator pitch. Pete, are you ready to go? You're ready?
I am.
Now.
Hi, my name is Pete Johns. I'm an expert in economic policy and tariffs and global geopolitics. No, I don't do any of that. In fact, I really don't like it. What I do is I help folks like you create, record, and release your best music. And I do that through tips and tricks and tutorials and live streams on my YouTube channel. I like to call myself a music educator, although many would call me a YouTuber or that horrible I word. Ooh, influencer. I influence nothing and no one. And yeah, I just like to help people get their music out there to the world and have a lot of fun along the way. So I do things like Your Music Live Show, which is a weekly show where I showcase people's music. I do a happy hour show where I play my own and other people's music to, keep my chops up. And in between times, I do a whole bunch of tutorials that try and make it simple for you to create your own music.
You made it in the time allotted.
That's not my first rodeo.
That's a new function I've got going on. That's new technology, Pete. Hold on. Spare no expense on this show. All right. So I thought we'd start off today by, before we talk about tariffs, just a general opinion. I'm going to be pretty harsh, man, and it's not going to be on a lot of things because there's a lot we could talk about and go this, and there's a huge list. Father Christmas would be hating us so much for the list of shit that we are dealing with, but we're going to focus on tariffs, of course, and so my little spray anyway. But I'm going to give you the floor to have a little diatribe to kick this thing off. Good luck.
Yeah, talk about throwing in the deep end. Oh, what? I got another minute? Oh, God. So what are tariffs? Tariffs are a tax. They're a political tool used by political tools. That's the way I'd like to explain it. So tariffs have been around for a very long time, and they're designed to do a few things. They're designed as a revenue gainer so that the government can get more of your money, so taxing. They're to protect domestic business, so they're to make sure that, the nationalistic side of things is let's keep things in our country and other countries bad, our country good. And they're also a political incentive against other governments, that horrible other countries that want to come in here and, sell us cheap and effective and quality products. How dare they? So, yeah, it's the worst way of doing something that's already stupid, put in place by stupid people for stupid reasons. Simple as that.
Wow, there we go. Look, I want to have a spray. Look, just on that guy. We're not going to mention his name today, right? But we're just going to call him that guy. And the other guy, I think you know who the other guy is. Yeah,
very cryptic.
He's got a chainsaw. But anyway, so we got that guy and the other guy. So I'm going to focus on that guy, though, because he's the one who's in control. Now, let's just strip back all of the human rights kind of violations, environmental violations, all that stuff, the immigration stuff. Let's just strip all that back. And that's a big thing to do, to take all that and put it over there. That's huge. But I just want to focus on the one thing. When that guy got voted into power, and the day before he took office, he ran a meme coin pump and dump. Okay. Now, for those of you who don't know what a meme coin pump and dump is, let's just quickly break it down. So it's nothing. It's Seinfeld. It's the concept of Seinfeld in a meme coin that doesn't exist. And he ran a pump and dump where he put the meme coin up. People invested, mostly his supporters, and then they rug pulled. If you don't know what a rug pull is, they shut it down and take all the money and leave everybody who invested absolutely broke. That is that guy, the president of the United States, did a rug pull on America. People outside the whole world got rug pulled. The very next day, he took office. And then in a few short weeks, he did a rug pull on the American economy. That's what this is. That's if you cut through all the shit, we can call it tariffs, we can call it taxes. The guy crashed the market so the market would fall, and then told specific people around him to invest once he took off the tariffs, gave him 90 days. Everybody around him got rich off people's backs, of people's retirement money. That is the bottom line. And if people can't see it, you're fucking wrong. Sorry.
It's almost like there should be a song about it, about the 1% taking advantage of the 99%. If only someone would write that song.
Yeah. So, and the thing is, all the way through this election, tariffs were explained over and over and over again that they will hit the consumer. And they are going to. And that is the bottom line. The reason tariffs exist, the main reason tariffs exist, are to put on countries that people aren't happy about. I don't like what you're doing. It's a power play to put a stranglehold on their manufacturing or whatever it is they're knowing full well that the country that places the tariffs will pay for it. It's always been that.
Yeah.
So I don't understand. Well, I can say I don't understand why this has happened, but I do, because the whole idea was to rug pull the American economy. So, and they made their money, man. They made their money.
Yeah, and there's no downside, because again, those three elements that I talked about are exactly what happened there. It's like, guess what? If they go in place and nothing happens and the economy stays the same, we get more money, we get more tax dollars to funnel out into tax cuts to our rich people.
Yeah.
If it means more actual businesses actually domestically produce things, then gets to put hand up and say, look what we did. We protected domestic business and industry. Aren't we great? Look at all them jobs that we created. Forgetting the fact that the flow-on effect of the downstream jobs is actually worse than the jobs you create through manufacturing. But we can talk about that later. And then the political battles with other countries, they can say, oh, yeah, these people came back to me on their knees because they didn't want to pay my 100%. And it's like, so, yeah, I hate to say that it's smart, because it's 100% not smart. It's one of the, as I mentioned, it's dumb taxes put in place by dumb people. But it gets a result, doesn't it? Like, you can't argue with the result, which is that whichever way you slice it, the bottom end gets screwed and the top end gets benefited. And that's just all we're seeing. And I do want to say up front that obviously everything that we say in this is our own opinion.
Sure.
And not the opinion of, I don't know, we don't actually work for anyone. We're independent anyway. It doesn't matter. We answer to no one. Of YouTube, I don't know. Will YouTube shut us down? But I actually like, one thing I do like about the world we're living in now, and this might sound weird, but we don't have to hide behind, because that guy is doing bad things in public in plain sight. And if anyone says that guy is doing good things and that guy is okay, then they've got serious problems. So it used to be harder, because I have people who are on the left, the right, the middle, the far left, the far right. It just doesn't matter, because now it is not left versus right. It's not red versus blue. It is common, decent people that care about social justice and humanity and dignity versus someone who doesn't. And that's all it is now. And it's actually made what was very grey and murky super black and white and really easy, because I don't hate to say, I was going to say, I hate to say it, but if you are in support of the things that are being done, and again, even just the tariff stuff, but forget all the other stuff that you bundled off that we're not going to include.
Which is hard.
Which is hard to do. It is really hard to compartmentalize, people without a trial being sent to a Guatemalan prison. Yeah. But it is really simple now to actually just say that. And I like that, because maybe it's just the company that I keep, but no one is telling me that that guy's okay and that guy's actually doing good things right now. And that includes people that in the past, maybe they supported Bush or, God forbid, even Reagan back in the day. Because they were like, I've said this before, they were evil, but they kind of pretended not to be. And now it's like, you don't even have to pretend to not be evil
Nah.
anymore. You can just be outwardly and without any consequence. It's weird. It's like living in this weird dystopian future that it's Biff from Back to the Future. It's just Biff in Back to the Future too. It's everything is Biff Co. And yeah, it's just lack of rule of law. And in fact, if you want to watch a really, really good video, I love the channel Legal Eagle, which does some really good legal breakdowns of things. And back in the day, he did like fun reactions to the legal side of different movies and things. And then the world caught on fire. And now a lot of it is about the fact that the rule of law is being destroyed. And he had a great video, which I thought was good. He said, yes, Legal Eagle is biased. But we're not biased against, conservative versus Democrat or left versus right. We're biased against people who respect and uphold the rule of law and people who want to destroy, avoid, and ignore the rule of law. And that's all it is. That's again, this is why I actually like how simple it is. Because if you're watching this right now, the risk of Jade losing subscribers,
Oh, yeah.
and you don't think that the rule of law is being destroyed currently, then I don't know what to tell you. You probably don't want to hang around for the next hour and a half.
That's all right. Hey, don't hang around. Hang around. It doesn't matter because in a couple of months' time, if you're in America, it won't matter what my opinion is. It really won't matter because those docs, they're drying up, my friends, and there's not a lot of stuff coming into America at the moment. It's not now that we should be concerned. I mean, the next couple of months are going to be very telling. Christmas is going to be very telling.
Supply chains. Remember, you should just get $1 or $2. Don't get $30, just $1 or $2.
Man, how did we get to this? I mean, the thing with the whole what was it called? V-Day or whatever it was, April 4th, I think it was.
Yeah,
Fucking
Democracy Day.
Dickhead Day. Let's just call it that. The whole thing about it, why they were so just gung ho and just, hey, we can just do this, is because there is no accountability. Yeah. And I mean, what are they going to do? They can't impeach him. They can't remove him.
Well, and tried twice.
Yeah, and this is going to bounce. The economy was always going to bounce back. This was the thing. The plan, look, this is just my opinion, remember, folks, has never been about like increasing like revenue or whatever into it. It's just been to do a rug pull, make some money, and then just hopefully let it all just go back to close to where it was until maybe 12 months' time, do another rug pull. That's what I think is going to happen. You got probably 4 rug pulls coming with the American economy, but that's it. So, look, again, just opinions. I'm not trying to like start a left versus right, or this is not about that.
I don't think it's there anymore. There is no left and right, I don't think. Not on this particular topic. I think we're past that. We're well past it.
Yeah, it is the poor versus the rich at the moment.
Yeah. And I think there's some very poor conservative folks that probably voted the wrong way and that are feeling really, really worried right now. And I feel sorry. Because again, I have sympathy and empathy for folks. And I think we can talk about that as well a bit later. But I think I was reading an article the other day about, the death of sympathy and empathy and the fact that people just don't care about other people anymore and outwardly just hostile towards others. And again, I don't think this is new, but I think it's new to not hide it at all and to just outwardly say, I care about me and I want to look after me and my interests, and other people can go F themselves.
Yeah. Yeah. So
hello, people, by the way.
I'm going to do the hellos now. Let's do some hellos. If you're in the chat, type something to me so I can find you in the list. We've got Hugh Caldwell and Jenny Jolivet. E. Urban's in the house, and he's very upset about Donald Trump. Sorry. I just misgendered E. Urban. That sucks. So I apologize, E. Urban. She is so pissed off that you should see her posts on Facebook, Pete. Every single one. I'm surprised that E. Urban still exists on Facebook because they're the kind of posts that would get you arrested.
Will get you banned, as you found out a few years ago on Twitter.
Absolutely. Miss Stephanie's here, Joe, Barry Glenn, Paul O'Farrell. We've got Thomas Christ. Of course, we've got Thomas Christ because he's a legend. Fat Panda Cat. Who else? Michael Thompson. Let me scroll through here. I think I've got Ed Zielinski. G'day. God, I'm doing ums and ahs. Javale, hello. And I think we're down almost at the bottom of the list. Guzzo of Oz, hello to you. If I've missed anybody, I'm a dickhead. Leela, hello, Leela. And Studio 6+1, Michael Thompson, I think I got you. So why am I talking about this today? You're probably thinking, why? Why? We don't want to hear your shitty political opinions, Jade and Pete. Well, look, we don't live in America. We live in Australia, and thankfully, our government nipped this in the bud straight away and said, "Hey, we look at this as like, it's not how you treat your friends." That's what our Prime Minister basically said in his press conference. He went, "Oh, that's not how you treat your friends, but I'll tell you how we treat our friends. We're not going to reciprocate, and we're not going to put tariffs on America. Why? Because I don't know if you know this, it will impact Australians." So that's why we're not doing it back. And our left-wing government ran on that and said that statement, ran his election recently, and he got in power because I think we saw a bit of sense. But you may be thinking, well, how is this affecting people in Australia? It's going to affect everyone because China is probably the worst, but this is going to affect us as music creators, as content creators, as videographers, as artists. All this stuff is going to cost. How much? It's hard to say, isn't it, Pete? Because it takes a lot of things to make up the stuff, the treats that we have. We have a lot of trinkets these days and treats, and we're very lucky these days, but it takes a lot to make these things, Pete.
It does. There's a lot of components that go into it, and yeah. But before we talk about that, yeah, look, you made a good point there. It's like, hey, you're music people. Why are you talking about this? And again, I think for a couple of reasons that it is post politics. I think we are now in a position where this impacts everyone, regardless of whether you want to think about it or not. So I was very happily, if you go back to John's of 2016, I was very happily making music videos. I didn't have to think nor care about any of this stuff because we had competent people that were not making decisions that were impacting everyone around the world. But yeah, there is a lot that goes into it. So if you think of it in terms of a simple tariff, and I don't know what you want to use, but a microphone, I'm talking to a microphone right now. And this is actually an interesting one because this is a Rode microphone made by Rode Microphones Australia, made in Australia. So this is a case of a domestic product that here in Australia will cost no more because it can't, because Australia's not going to tariff itself. There are things like taxes that they do put on domestic products at times, which that's a whole story for another day. But if I was to bring in a Behringer microphone, which is a European company made in China, then you get a whole bunch of other things because that microphone might look like a simple device, but it's got connectors, it's got condensers, it's got foam, it's got plastic, it's got metal components, it's got so many things in there. Some of those would be made in China, some would be sourced from Taiwan, such as semiconductors used in USB microphones, for instance. And it could all be put together in Mexico. So there's a whole range of things there where you think of a tariff of like, oh, it's simple. Tariff equal 20%. So therefore, think that $100 be $120. And that's not how it will work because each individual component is going to have a different amount. And then the other concern, which we can talk about later, is the perceived tariff increases. So things that aren't being tariffed are going to go up. And I talked about this the other day that the new Xbox is, well, the Xbox pricing has been changed globally because of tariff fear, because of projected tariff impacts.
Yes.
So we're at the point now where it's not even about the countries that are impacted and the products that are impacted, but this could start impacting services, which currently are not tariffed at all. Tariffs on services don't really make sense because they're not a product, they don't have components. And other things like other countries that are completely non-tariff, like Australia, who aren't putting any reciprocal tariffs, could get increased pricing because places like China and Vietnam and Hong Kong and South Korea that are producing this stuff and sending it and losing out because when they sell it, the end user is not paying the full bill of that tariff, may start increasing prices going out to other countries. So if you think it doesn't affect you and it's not an important thing for you, I hate to say it, I don't usually say this black and white, but you're wrong. It will and it does.
It will. Yeah, and it's going to affect everybody differently as well too, because everything has a final destination. And so, you know, but as you said, Pete, things have got to go from one country, source the items to come, especially like we'll get into iOS devices, but all these parts and minerals and all this stuff have to come from different places.
Didn't even get into the rare earth stuff
rare
and the actual
earth
minerals.
stuff, which iPhones and iPads are made of like almost 40% of natural minerals. That's ridiculous, probably more than that. So all of that, and then it's got to be all put together, manufactured, sent to the next place, packaging, then it's got to come to the next. So each country is going to get tariffed at. Oh, my Lord, it is just a fucking mess. Let's make a list. Let's talk about some of the gear that may affect us because, you know, let's not shy away from it. We're musicians. And boy, do we love to buy gear. We do. Especially, can I get a holler from the guitarist? So, you know, if I see another fucking guitar meme, I'm like, oh man, every day I see a guitar meme, I'm like, oh, but no, it's just another guitar. It's like, come on, not
that one of the couple in bed and like she's looking worried and he's turned away and she's just like, I think he's cheating on me. And it's like, I wonder if I can get away with this 17th guitar. And it's like, okay, we get it. We've seen them.
We get
They've
it.
been around.
We like to buy guitars. Anyway, so I'm going to go through some stuff. We've got guitars, drums, leads, strings, picks, instrument parts, audio interfaces, computers, sound cards, graphic cards, iOS devices, Macs, storage devices, microphones, brass, woodwind instruments, importing instruments, anything that comes from China, merchandise, accessories. As a content creator, as an artist, your T-shirts are all going to go up. All the things that you're selling, your mugs, all that shit, that's going up. Cameras, monitors, dongles, hubs. Oh, man, we love dongles and hubs, don't we, with iOS? We need millions of them. Lighting.
Living the dongle life.
Anything else? Kazoos. They're all going up. But it's
my
not,
kazoo budget's going to be blown
We're
to
fucking
smithereens.
It's all over for the kazoo players. Retire now. Play a real instrument. But this is the thing, and I can't sit here and just say, Pete, this microphone's going to have 20% on it, or because of this sourcing, this the chips, and like you said, Taiwan. People forget about Taiwan, but Taiwan are just the mecca of chips. That's nearly every single stupid fridge that has a bloody computer built into it. Taiwan. Everything comes from Taiwan.
Yep, that my AI washing machine, it won't know when the clothes are done anymore. What?
My concern is, with all of this, is that, let's not beat around the bush. Politicians are assholes. They just are. But for the most part, most of them, I'd like to think, have an understanding of the economy and way things work, and countries here like Australia and England and stuff, they would have their head slowly getting wrapped around these tariffs and starting to work out the tangled mess that it is. Is America going to be able to do that, Pete, with the crew that they have currently?
It all comes back to the fact that how much of this is actually going to be implemented. It's kind of like when you think about people implementing things and going with the path of least resistance. I think it's very easy to threaten, and it's really hard to execute and implement these sort of things. So, it's why I think that the fear of tariffs and sort of tariff preparation in pricing is going to be as big, if not worse than, because the companies are smart. The companies are going to put this into play and put it into place. And yeah, we've got a 90-day call off now. I'd love to know the opinion of other folks out there and of yours as well, Jade, but of people in the chat. But how many of these things do you actually think are going to be in place? How many of these tariffs are actually going to be at the rate that they're set now? Because to your point, that takes a lot of administration. That takes a lot of effort to actually work it all out. And given the way that these were created and calculated and constructed in the first place, which is a whole thing unto itself with the difference between trade deficits, it's absolutely baffling. And I don't understand how they're going to actually implement this on that. Like, yeah, you just think about one item, like think of a mixer or a complex like a computer, and you think of all of the different components and elements that go into that. Who's calculating that? Who's sitting there at the dock when the boatload of Behringer mixers come in, working out all that stuff? I don't think it's going to be easy, and therefore I don't think the likelihood of it happening across all countries with all those. There's a reason why no one's ever done this before, because the amount of administration involved in it would almost negate, if you did it properly, would almost negate the actual money you're collecting.
Well, it has been done before, and I think it led to a depression. I know there are some folks out there who really want to go back in time because everything was better.
Yeah.
It fucking wasn't. I'm sorry.
Yeah. Yeah, not only was it not better, but it can't happen. So
No.
and this is the problem with the domestic production stuff. Look, I'm not going to say that I don't like when I see like the Rode microphone designed by an Australian company, owned in Australia and manufactured in Australia. I can't say that there's a little bit of Aussie pride that hits me in the cockles when I think about that. And I'm sure it's the same for America. And can I just say, I have nothing against America. I love the US. I love American people. I know it can sometimes come across as if we're like picking on you specifically. It is not. There are problems all around the world, and the American people that I know are some of the nicest and warmest and most welcoming people in the world. End of. You just unfortunately are in a rough situation right now. So I am feeling a lot of sympathy towards folks in the US. I forgot my point now because I just wanted to clarify that before people say, you guys are always bashing on the US. What we're talking about. Yeah, tariffs and implementation and the fact that I get it. You would want to do that. Like an American driving a Dodge Ram built in Detroit and feeling good about it. That's good, as opposed to driving a BMW or a BYD that was manufactured in Europe or manufactured in Asia. Yeah, I kind of get a little bit of that, but you can't put the genie back in the bottle, the toothpaste back in the tube, the sauce back in the sauce, because we've now come to accept. And the problem is we are accepting things that have been coming to us very cheap. Here in Australia, we have Kmart. They have a brand called Anko, which is made exclusively in China and Vietnam and Asian countries. And look, the joke is, and it's a horrible joke, and please forgive me for it, but they pass the slavings on to us because the reality of the situation is that if you're buying from somewhere like Walmart or Kmart, or you're buying from Temu or Shimu or whatever they're called, they are products that are manufactured cheaply in conditions, even if you don't want to get that drastic. Because again, we're going to be making statements today. Even if you don't want to go that drastic, they're in conditions that we wouldn't accept. And the reason is that if we paid the amount of wages that we would have to pay in Australia or the US to manufacture the same goods as they create in China and Taiwan and Vietnam and Thailand, it would cost about 2 to 3 times as much. So we made a deal back in the 1970s and 80s when everything was actually offshored, deliberately to reduce the cost of consumer items by having them made outside of first world countries. And now we're angry about the fact that we buy so much stuff from those same countries that we set up to be successful because we didn't want to manufacture and we didn't want to pay our people enough money to make the goods at the cost that our consumers would pay for them. I mean, I guess the only thing better than a standard is a double standard, and that to me feels like a pretty big double standard.
Yeah, look, I would just want to continue on that sentiment. I lived in America. I love Americans. I lived there for 2 years, never faced one bit of discrimination or anything while I was there. Not one problem. I fucking love it. I hated leaving. I'd love to go back. I don't see that happening soon because I don't know my passport and stuff and being trans and all that. So there's that. But look, I understand, Pete, that the point, the method is shit. I understand the point that America has come to this realization after so many years that, oh shit, we don't really manufacture much and we're not really exporting much. There are reasons. There are actual reasons. Like, for example, we can talk about this because this is Australia. We don't accept American beef into this country. And they're upset about it. They're upset because they're like, why aren't you taking our beef? And I find it very head scratch. scratching that that guy's administration can't see how important our ecological system is here in Australia. Like when you come to Australia, you can't bring seeds. You can't bring, if you've got dirt on your shoes, they will fucking remove your shoes. We care about our system here and we don't want anything to fuck up. If we get meat here, that's, I don't know, no longer FDA approved, or there's no checks or balances for what product you're sending us. All we need is one piece of meat to come into this country to fuck our whole system.
Yeah, just ask Britain in the 80s and the mad cow stuff, and like it can rip through. Look at the current bird flu situation that's affecting chickens and eggs. And God, if I hear one more story about the prices of bloody eggs, but yeah, it can be devastating, and that's the thing. Like it's very narrow thinking, I think. And again, like I keep trying to bring it back to music and creativity and stuff, but it's very narrow to think. It's like folks that think you can only produce music on Pro Tools, and everyone else who produces music, it's like, no, our beef is the best and everyone else's beef is crap. It's like, well, it doesn't really work that way, because there's plenty of ways that you can do things, and there's plenty of other valid, viable, quality options out there that aren't necessarily your things. So yeah, it's the same with this sort of stuff, that yeah, there's other ways to do it, and it's very narrow and nationalistic, or sort of privateering thinking to say that this is best. And look, I've always had a bit of a problem with that. That the fact that the World Series of baseball is played between American and a couple of Canadian teams, and they call it the World Championship, and like that, been this thing. And again, I love the US. I've been there more than any other country. I've been to the US 5 times, and I don't travel that much. So that tells you a lot about how much I love going to the US. But it's, yeah, the best gosh darn country in the world. And I think a lot of that is because a lot of people in America don't go very many other places. Is that not very nice to say?
No, it's true. At least I think the current stats are 80% of Americans don't own a passport.
Yeah, which is not like good if you like your country, but there's people that, just don't travel because they don't even think about going somewhere else. Like, oh, I'm going on vacation. I'm going to go somewhere in America. I'm not going to even go to Canada or Mexico. And those places are so accessible. The amount of time I'd spend in Canada if I lived in the US just to go watch hockey would be phenomenal. And go down to Mexico because there's just beautiful places down there, and cheap cerveza. But yeah, it does kind of baffle me, especially folks, if you lived in Texas and you've never been to Mexico, it's like, it's right there. It's like living in Adelaide and never visiting Melbourne. I can't imagine why you wouldn't actually go somewhere cool that's like an hour away. It's ridiculous.
I just want to say hello to a few people who've joined us.
Hello, folks.
We got Tremor Bear, Moby Pixel. G'day. He says, I was sold on Melbourne after the last walk with me. Well, tomorrow's episode, you'll be sold even further because it's great. I just finished editing it. There was a few other people I saw come in, and I can't find them
Paulo
now.
Farrell's there. G'day,
Paulo Farrell, Ed Zielinski, Denise, g'day. Sean Chandler, g'day. Gordon Lee Weaver, I don't think I verbally said hello to. I just, Al Davis as well, too, up the top there. Just want to touch on this comment because this is important. As Thomas says here, tariffs can work, but they have to be strategic and targeted to specific places and products instead of putting broad... Yes, look, here's the deal, man. Look, I'm all for America bringing business back, right? Because we want to have a healthy economy. We want people to live comfortably and succeed and win in this capitalist fucking thing, that experiment that we're running. But I think that's been the big problem. No plan, man. You just can't go, we want to bring industry back, but we'll build it sometime soon. We have no plans to build it yet. We'll just bring it back. Like, that is fucking insane. I'm sorry.
It's crazy. And the other thing is that, again, the narrowness of the thinking, and Tom's exactly right there, that it's only been on products, not services. The service economy is massive. And if you think of things that could actually, that have been offshored from American jobs and Australian jobs, it is the service industry. It is the back office functions. It's the billing functions of businesses. It's the people that actually manage the paperwork and applications within the financial sector. It's people working in call centers for telecommunications and energy companies. These are all people whose jobs have been offshored in order for big business to make more money and impress their shareholders. So if you were actually serious about onshoring or reshoring, as they call it, a lot of that labor, wouldn't the first place you look be the service industry where we already have the skills and you don't need to build giant manufacturing plants? You
Yeah.
don't need to build in the expertise of decades and generations of chip manufacturers that they have in Taiwan. Why chips? Why computers? Why cars? All this stuff has been done better, cheaper in other places and will cost a huge amount to bring the infrastructure back and put it into place. Whereas service, you could find right now, you could go into the street and get 100 call center workers and start a call center in Missouri and instantly increase your employment and the population and the amount of wealth going into your population. Bottom line is, we don't want middle class. We don't want middle upper class. We don't even want lower middle class. We want lower class. And there's all those AI memes of the people in the suit and tie, in the chip factories with the hairnets on, like making chips. And it's like, yeah, haha, funny, but not that funny because that's what you're doing. You're offshoring the jobs that could be done that we have the skills for. Because you know what? We have the same here in Australia. We have this university/college mentality that every person that goes through and educated needs to get a college education so they can go and get a middle class white collar job. The same middle class white collar jobs that we've been spending all of our time and energy offshoring and consolidating and deprioritizing for the last 30 years. So the ends don't match the means. And it's, again, I know, I'll come back to my original statement that. And I'll classify because Thomas is right. Sometimes tariffs work. Sometimes they're
Yes.
required. Sometimes they need to be put in place. There's the chicken war that happened. That was where tariffs came in. Where Germans were buying. They were loving buying the West Germans were buying American chickens. There's your chickens.
All I had was a pigeon.
Well, they were loving buying the chickens. So, but when they slapped a tariff on them, then suddenly the amount of chicken purchases went down, and Americans produced less chickens, and it impacted them. So, yeah, tariffs can have a good impact. They can have the reverse impact, and they can have somewhere in between. But they do need, like anything, they do need to be targeted, and they do need to be well thought out. And I'd say simplified because, again, to your point, and I hadn't really thought about this in depth, but when you looked at the big chart, it looked like a March Madness spread, like grid that people would go into with all the things, or maybe like the Family Feud board. It's like all the little questions and the numbers next to it. When you saw that, yeah, I didn't even think about it at the time, but can you imagine? Can you imagine sitting at the person that's current job is to sit at the docks and they're like, all right, what have we got tariffs on? Oh yeah, beef there and wool there, and maybe there's four things, and then they just like, all right, here's the container ship, and here's your tariff list, and they're just like,
What?
what? One container ship could have products with countries of origin from 20, 30, 40 different countries. And you've got to go through and work out the percentages of every product and then apply tariffs accordingly. How is that logistically possible? Even if you could do it, would you want to do it? And how is that? Yeah, and like you say, the people, because I don't even know this, but they seem to be reducing a lot of the workers going on. I can't imagine that dock working is a booming industry at the moment, but it might be. Maybe that's where I'd go if you were looking for employment in the US. Go down to the docks to calculate. I'm a tariff calculator.
Yeah, there's new jobs going on the docks. It's just called standing around waiting for product to arrive. Far out, man. Yeah. And look, I'm going to come back. My word of the day is treats and trinkets. Because we have fallen into that realm, we say this all the time, both me and you. We're living in the future, all this stuff, making music on an iPad, an iPhone. But these things cost money. And back in the day, the original iPad, iPhones were like $400 or whatever. And then they went up to $1,000. I got a little breakdown here of iPhone 16 Pro component and tariff breakdown.
This is exciting.
Wow. A18 Pro processor made in Taiwan, base cost $90.85. It says there's no tariff rate on that. Now, I don't know if this is coming into Australia, so I'm not sure what this has given me. So a whole lot of stuff here. OLED display, so $37 cost. It looks like no tariff on that. Battery, yay, 54% on the battery. Nice. 5G modem, nothing there. Memory, so a whole bunch of stuff doesn't have. Japan, the memory RAM's made in the US. Rear camera array, nothing there. But where it gets interesting, main enclosure, $11.23 tariff cost. And the other component section, $108 tariff on top. So you're looking at $140 extra on base cost for them to make an iPhone. So pre-tariff cost $549, estimated tariff cost $137, and a total of $687 for a base cost. So you're going to have to expect that's going to put the iPhone up $100.
I think those 0% were only because they put that carve out for chips and electrical components or electronic components, because they instantly knew that things like laptops and phones and iPads would immediately double in price if they put all those Chinese tariffs on actual chips. Same with Taiwan.
So that was updated. I just got that today. It was updated, and they have removed those ones. So but $100 extra. It's looking like that's going to be the thing,
the ballpark, and I guess the flip side of this, to play devil's advocate, is that like any of these things are not generally going to be as bad as perhaps the media and the news outlets want you to think they are as well, because they thrive on clicks. So if they say tariffs won't actually be quite as bad, like don't think 150% means 2.5 times the cost, because some of that will be absorbed, some of that will be like tariff free, and some of that won't actually be passed on to you. But because that's not a great news headline. But the end result will just be slightly more expensive. And we've already seen with shrinkflation and inflation how things go up, they don't come down. And this is the other concern that we have with this, is that this will just create a new normal. Like, did you notice that post the inconvenience, that items that you were buying at a cheaper price before that went up due to supply chain problems and due to demand and supply issues, they never went down again. They just stayed there stagnant. And we have all the things in Australia here with supermarket price gouging, as they call it, because we like to be dramatic here in Oz. Yeah, they're gouging us with their prices. So we're going to see these prices implemented. And like I say, Microsoft, when they put in these increases to the Xbox for predicted tariff impacts, if those tariffs don't go ahead, do you think it's coming back down? Do you think those retail prices?
It never comes back down.
No, it won't. The only thing out of all of this, and again, to bring it back to music, the only thing that will remain the same is that a Shure SM57 will be $100.
It went up. They went up $10, man. They officially went up everywhere. Shure came out with a statement saying, "Sorry, everybody, SM58, $10 increase," and that hasn't happened for 15, 20 years. Unbelievable.
I'm going to camel right now. This is an outrage.
$110, dude.
See, that was the only thing you could rely on in life and in music, was that a Shure SM57. Oh, it's $109. That is unacceptable.
Yeah, but don't worry, folks. You can still run over it with a truck and sing into it the very next minute. You're all good.
Look at this. Oh, sorry. I'm distracted by that now.
Do you know, Pete, the funny thing is, you mentioned that, right? When the tariffs were announced, the first thing I looked up was the Shure SM58. I'm like, come on, man. There's things in life that can't change, right? Taxes, death, SM58, $100. It's over.
Man.
It's
over. Yeah. 2009, since they started tracking prices. So if you don't know, that there's a wonderful website. If you're buying stuff, and this is probably relevant to this very show. So for those that said, you talk about politics, get back to music. Okay, let's get into the music. If you wanted to buy stuff, go to camel.com, which is not only a fun thing to say, but a fun website to type in, and search for a product. And if you search the SM57 or SM58, you will see that it is sat at $99 for ages, for forever, since 2009. It occasionally dips down to 89 when it's on sale. So it's this static graph with these little dips down. And then you're right, in just now, 2025, $109 is the new normal.
But don't worry, in saying that, there'll still be like specials where they'll bring it back down to $199. And we'll all, after 2 years' time, go, oh, wow, it's on sale for $100.
It's on sale for.
Because, goldfish, mines, we just forget. Thanks, Thomas, for banging the link in the camel. Boom,
Yes.
there it is.
Go camel yourself.
I have here, so let's have a look at this. Australia's not on this list, but I do have it. So this is the US tariff overview from May 2025. So the United States has implemented a baseline of 10% tariffs on imports in most countries. However, several nations face higher rates due to specific trade policies. Now, this is up to date as of May, so where it currently says here. So China, 30%. Reduced from 145 for a 90-day negotiation period, which means it's not happening. Like, you know what? Here's the thing. That guy, he can just go, nah, forget about it. And nobody will fucking question it. Just like, it's too much.
It's different. It's post-politic world. I don't. Yeah, and it's why I would have been terrified to even talk about this and do this show, because I've tried to remain. And again, like I say, if you go back to my channel from the past, very neutral, very, very much not a thing, and yet. It's kind of forced our hand. Like it's really difficult to not talk about this stuff because it impacts everyone, like every single person all the time. So.
Yeah. So here we have Canada, 25%, initially imposed but currently paused, pending further in negotiations. Mexico, 25%, same as Canada. European Union, 10 to 25, varies by the product, includes steel and aluminium or aluminum, whatever you want to call it.
Aluminum.
I don't care. United Kingdom has reduced tariffs on certain goods following a new trade agreement. They made a deal. It was the best deal of all time. He's so fat. Those fat drugs aren't working. Anyway, that's enough of that. Where are we up to? We're up to United Kingdom. Vietnam, due to concerns over transshipment of Chinese goods, 46%. Malaysia, 24%, higher than regional peers. Trade talks ongoing. Thailand, 28%, similar concerns with Vietnam. Nigeria, imposed due to trade imbalances. 14%, South Africa 31%, affects steel and aluminum exports. Zimbabwe, tariffs imposed. Zimbabwe responded by removing tariffs on US goods. They got 18%. Japan 10%, ongoing negotiations. South Korea 10%, base tariff discussions, early stages. Are the discussions actually happening? Anyway, India 10%, and I think Australia has 10% on everything but has... an extra amount on steel and here it is here. So Australia has 10% baseline, 25% on steel and aluminum or aluminium. There's an exemption in Australia too for certain goods like gold and pharmaceuticals. I didn't even know that.
No, there you go. Well, there you go. Our gold miners will be happy with.
Yeah, invest. Oh, that's our sponsor today. Invest in gold, everybody. Have you heard? My latest grift. Where's my gold? Of course, somewhere VPN gold. I don't know, fucking somewhere.
Who would have thought that those what are they called? Those preppers that were like, I'm going to go and get all the rusty steel parts and old bits of metal, and that's going to be what you're going to buy things with in the future. It's all going to be a barter economy. And at the time, I was like, how quaint. And now I'm like, yeah, they got a really valid point.
What's interesting is, and this is off topic a little bit, but we're so concerned about all this stuff, and food is, I don't know, something you need to live, but that's all going to go up too, and food, the one thing we're not seeing in the media and stuff is, I don't know if you know this, Pete, but the last 2 months worldwide with our food supplies, worldwide food supplies and banks and all that stuff, we've had to dip into it. This is the first time since we've been holding records of food supplies that we've actually had to dip into our reserves. That's a little bit concerning. But anyway, trinkets. Let's get back to trinkets.
Trinkets. I like that word. Trinkets. I'm surrounded by trinkets.
It is. We really are. Have a lot of trinkets. I remember when Trump made the announcement, I just looked around my house and went, I do have a lot of old guff, don't I?
Yeah.
I really do.
Yep, made in all sorts of places, but yeah, I was actually trying to work out if I owned anything that's actually made in the USA, and I couldn't find anything, and I couldn't think of
Ooh.
anything that I have that's actually made in the US. So, and it's interesting because you were reading that chart, and it said something like, what was it? It was Nigeria, and they're like,
Yes.
oh yeah, increased due to trade imbalance, which, if you don't know, means that they're butthurt because Nigeria don't buy enough from the US, but the US is like the trade imbalance thing is like that's how trade works. You buy more from some people and then you buy less from others, and they buy more from you and you buy less from them. That's how the global economy works. It can't be even. Otherwise, people that produce certain items naturally will not actually be able to export that stuff. So Brazil export a lot of coffee, but does it mean you have to grow crappy coffee to send back to Brazil because they're not buying enough of your coffee? That doesn't make any sense at all.
Oh.
It's ludicrous. Anyway.
I feel myself these days when, like, just you did it then too, right? You were explaining something and you slowed down to the point that it was almost like you're explaining it to, I don't know, a vegetable. And I'm talking a literal, not a person who's like can't understand, but a literal carrot. And you're like, this is how. I feel like I'm doing that a lot in my day-to-day conversations with people. Like,
Yeah, I think you're right. I think part of it's that. The other part is you're processing it in your brain because if you're smart enough, and I'm not saying I'm an absolute genius. I joked about being like, oh, I'm an economic. No, very much not. But if you're smart enough to understand basic mathematics, you kind of get to the point where your own brain is telling you as you're speaking, it's saying this can't be right, this can't be right, this can't be right, and you're having this argument, and you're like, actually, brain, you've got it, you raise a good point, but it's what I'm seeing, and I know that you're processing it and going, that doesn't make any sense. Why would anyone do that? But it's happening, and the amount of times that happens, and I feel I feel sorry for our children. Won't someone please think of the children? They're gonna have such a mop up of this mess, like of everything that we're doing and everything that we've done. Oh man, I could curl up in the fetal position if I thought about it too much and just rock for a while. But it's yeah, we've really done a number on the kids.
we really need to think about the kids, and we need to think about them even even past them being born from the womb. Oh, that's a horrible thing. But it's
Well,
true,
I mean,
man. It is
yeah.
fucking true. Like, come on. You just can't, like, get them through the delivery and then just go, well, that's done.
The irony of the other guy wanting us to have so much higher birth rate just because he wants to have more baby daddy kids.
That don't speak to him. Man, this is
Oh,
why I invite you on this channel so you can
oh,
say
it's
it,
good.
get it out, Pete. I don't care. I
I'm
have
just
very
waiting. I'm
strong
waiting for
opinions.
the email from YouTube that's just like your channel's been suspended and it doesn't have any other thing except this video.
Well, I'm
And
the
they're
one.
like,
I'm the one that's going to get it, so you're safe. Tom says here, I have a trade deficit with my local supermarket. I buy from them, and they buy
oh yeah,
fuck all from me. How can I fix that? You know what, Thomas? Just go in there, and as they're slicing that ham for you, or whatever it is that you're buying from the deli, say, I don't know, can I get it? Can I get it a micro inch thinner, please? I mean, there is a deficit here that you owe me.
I made a beautiful hand decorated card and handed it to my barista the other day, and they wouldn't accept it in exchange for coffee. They said I had to give them money. Bullshit. Absolute bullshit.
Who else has joined us? There was some people over there pausing guitars. So I say hi to you. Channel K, g'day to you. He's got a new synth coming out soon that's really cool. Oh, speaking of apps, let's talk about this.
Yes.
You aren't going to get charged anymore for apps on the App Store. Yay! So you can come to this channel every day and I'll be talking about apps, and guess what? No more. They won't go up. So I have read that. That is confirmed. There will not be a price increase on Apple's not putting up the prices. So that's one. positive.
Which is interesting. And I guess it's almost not impossible, but they'd kind of have to pull the floor out of that. Like, and they did do this at one point. I think songs originally were 69 cents at some stage, and they went to 99 cents, and the floor for apps has been 99 cents for ever now. And developers can basically choose their price, but they of course have to pay their 30% vig back to Apple. So Apple are probably like, yeah, it's fine. But I guess the Apple won't put them up. But what about developers? Because you talked about it. You mentioned the trinkets. Do you think developers don't need laptops and iPads and iPhones and gear to use and test and create their apps? So is your $9.99 Chem might be able to comment on this. If he has to pay, if any of these developers have to pay an extra 30-40% to get the gear to make the apps, why on earth would they not put the apps up by that same 20 to 30%? Do they just have to wear their additional input cost just because they're a service business and not a product business? I don't think it's as black and white as we're not going to increase it. Yes, Apple won't increase it because they'll make their cut on the services anyway, regardless of what people price things at. But it could be a thing that we've already seen it with Microsoft and with Apple and with Google and with all of their service stuff. They've started putting their prices up, and they're claiming increased costs of servers and increased costs to serve up content to people. We could be on the cusp of that.
Yeah, I think people forget that developers need gear. Like I see this all the time. Like a developer drops an app, and people are in the comments of Facebook or whatever and going, well, it doesn't work on my iPhone. Or right? Do you really expect someone like Chem K to have every fucking iPhone and iPad at their disposal? Like, for example, there was an app I covered. I'm not going to name names, but there was a bug in it when I did the demo, and the bug still exists. And the bug has got something to do with my Magic Keyboard. When the Magic Keyboard is connected to the iPad, the music in this app goes out of sync. It's a bass app, and all the notes get played wrong. But as soon as I take it off, just lift it off the Magic Keyboard, it works. Now, the thing is, the developer can't fix it because he doesn't have the money to buy a fucking $300 fucking Magic Keyboard. Right. So I'm sure that's going to go up. That stuff's going to go up.
Yeah, it's the unintended and the flow-on effects and the downstream consequences and effects of this sort of stuff that are often not thought about and not factored into any changes like this. And yeah, it comes back to the whole, if we get more manufacturing jobs, and the same thing happened with a lot of the steel tariffs that happened in 2018 and 2020. Yes, it increased the number of jobs in that direct industry, but then the flow-on effect was that jobs downstream of that were hit by those tariffs and therefore actually had to pay more, they got actually directly impacted and lost more jobs. So the net loss of actual jobs based on those tariffs was down, even though at the front end it looks like it goes up. So same sort of thing. You could say, well, isn't it great that we as service providers or we as software creators or we in the service industry don't have to pay tariffs? But is that right? Is that really the case? Because we do on product, and every service requires a product to create. We're both sitting here staring at screens and lights and mixers and iPads and computers. So we can't do our service thing without that. And it's why I bought a new laptop, because I was going to this year, this calendar year, and as soon as this stuff started happening, I went, I can't imagine that if Apple put prices up in one region, that they won't just take an opportunity to just lever them up a little bit in other regions, even if we're not directly impacted. Because the bottom line of this, like you said, all those trinkets and all the calculations that go into that, they're probably not going to pass on that full amount to each consumer, because that would have a significant impact on their sales in that product category in that region. But what they will probably do instead is have a less severe increase across all categories, across all regions, so that they can spread it out and just call it, hey, it's just a cost of doing business increase. And then we'll all be paying a little bit extra. And as we said before, things don't generally go back down. Although I've got to give Apple credit. They have actually. They're the one company that, if you look at the Mac Mini, for example, that's gone from $699 to $599 to $499 because they have been able to produce it more efficiently and effectively over that time, which is rare because most companies would just produce it more efficiently and leave the price tag the same and say, oh, we didn't increase the price. Like a price going down is not a usual thing. But yeah, we're at the point now where a lot of that stuff is going to get more expensive. And are we saying that everyone should rush out and buy everything right now and use our affiliate links? Of course we are. That's how we roll.
That was my next question. I'll just read this out, then we'll do our ad. So America
Yes.
says approximately 25% increase on production of, this is Apple, production of costs on iPhone 16 Pro. Apple are exploring strategies like shifting production to countries like India and Vietnam to mitigate these costs, but such transactions take time and resources. This is the thing too. The winners out of this for companies are going to be the companies who shoulder most of the cost, because they're going to provide the cheapest product in a sea of companies competing for your audio interface or whatever it is. Whoever's going to shoulder the cost, and it's going to come down to sourcing new material. So you may get it a little bit cheaper, but it might be shit. Depends where they get the stuff from. It might not be as good.
Yeah, and that's again, we've seen that before. Not only, and I don't know what you'd call that, but shrinkflation. I've been
Yes.
ranting lately because when you used to buy a box of pills here. We have paracetamol. It's called Panadol or heroin or a different one, and it used to come in a 24 pack, which made sense because it was like 2 sleeves if you think of those metallic things of 12, and then they went to a 20 pack, which removed the 2 middle pills on each sleeve. And I bought some the other day, and they're now a 16 pack with just random little bits missing from it that just looks like someone's kind of stolen and removed it. So shrinkflation is definitely happening. And I think, let's coin it now. Let's call it crapflation, where the same product will just be worse. And you've probably already had this. Have you been to Hungry Jack's or McDonald's or Burger King or any of those places lately? And you buy what used to, and look, a lot of it is, the rose-colored glasses nostalgia.
That's true. It's shrunk.
But it's
man.
getting
shrunk.
worse. Everything is shrunk, but it's also crappier. Like the amount of lettuce you get on the burger is now laughable because lettuce is apparently expensive.
If you get lettuce.
If you get lettuce at all.
KFC have started putting cabbage on there.
There was the big, oh no, it is insane. It's like cabbage is just like lettuce. It's like you might as well shove some kale in there. What's going on?
It's not the same.
But yeah, but the quality of things has drastically decreased because if companies have basically got 3 ways to make money, right? They put the price up and keep the product exactly the same. They reduce the size of the product and keep the price exactly the same, or they reduce the quality of the product and keep the price exactly the same. So if they don't want to put the price up, what's going to suffer? The size, the quantity of the product, or the quality of the product. And hey, just ask Behringer about that. Oh, burn.
Man, I was looking at a Behringer interface.
Don't drop a Behringer mic.
I was literally looking at a Behringer interface the other day. It's this. I forget which one it is. Anyway, it's got some really good reviews. Lots of people saying it's good.
Behringer is okay. I know
like
Behringer's easy.
Though, if I do it.
I know it's easy to sort of kick Behringer and just say, oh, they just copy everyone else, and they kind of do. But hey, they're not the only product company that copy ideas and just make them slightly cheaper in China and get away with it. But yeah, the Behringer. There's people that I trust and that make great music that swear by the UHD series. So if you're buying Behringer stuff, buy the higher end gear. But the UM2 and that entry level plastic stuff, oh my goodness, it is just noisy and sounds horrific. So, but yeah, and look, the Behringer C1, I had a Behringer C1 microphone condenser, worked fine, was great. So, yeah.
Totally. We're going to run an ad, folks. Every day on the show, I run an ad, and it helps pay the bills and all that stuff. So you all get the ad at the same time. But you may or may not get an ad. Most of you won't. Trust me on that. So we'll run the ad, and while I'm running the ad, we'll just give you some time in case you can skip it and come back. I'm just going to play a minute or so. Maybe Pete wants to go and have a toilet break or whatever.
I do actually.
So I'm just going to play the opening scenes from Walk With Me tomorrow, which premieres tomorrow on the channel. It's not up yet, but it'll be up in a few hours. But it premieres same time as usual tomorrow. So let's do that. We'll play you the opening sequence of Walk With Me, and we'll be back shortly. Let's oge, baby. Okay, Walk With Me is premiering tomorrow, so if you want to catch that, it's I just finished editing it this morning, actually. It took me 2 days to edit. I was just saying to Pete before we started the show, I really love that, when I first started Walk With Me, it was really good. I was losing weight and having fun, and now it's turned into something that should be on its own channel by itself, and I should be just doing that. But here we are doing a full travel guide once a week. That is ridiculous, and everything else. How have I got to this place? But anyway.
It is interesting. We make rods for our own backs at times, and you're like, oh, I love it and I want to do it, and it's rewarding, but the effort that goes into it. So yes, reward Jade's effort by watching Walk With Me every week.
Do it.
It's good. It's good stuff, and it's going to make you want to come to Australia and visit us because we are nice down here. We're friendly. We don't retaliate. We don't have any conciliatory tariffs or anything. And we got nice beaches. Although it's a bit cold now.
It worries me, Pete, because I want to take Walk With Me to America. And I don't think I'm going to. I don't think I'm going to get in.
Run with me, flee with me, hide with me, and then escape with me. You could do the whole gamut.
Be sent to Guatemala with me. It's all good. Pete, what can we do about all the stuff that we like to buy and the things that we want? What can we do? I'm going to say, if there's something you really want, get it now. But don't go get all the things. But if there is something, like I did that this week, I've been wanting to get another DJI Mic 2 for shooting Walk With Me because, it's on permanently while I'm out filming, and sometimes the battery runs out and I've got to stop and charge it. Now I have a second one as a backup. Plus, if I meet somebody, now I can just pull out the second one and clip it on them and have a conversation. They can hear us. So, I was looking at the price of them going, wow, they're $169. That's going to go up. Should I buy it? And it was on special, so I grabbed one. But yeah, anything that you may need, and it's a big ticket item, if you've got the money, get it. But I think the second-hand market is going to go absolutely boom.
Yep.
What are your suggestions?
Yeah, no, that was really my one and only thought was, shop wisely. Don't spend beyond your means by any stretch. But if you do need something, or you think you'll need something the next year and you can afford it, it used to be wait for the sales. Like right now, my advice would usually be wait till like a Black Friday sale, or wait till an Amazon Prime Day sale, and things are going to be cheaper. I'm no longer saying that. It's weird because I used to be like, you don't need the gear. And I still say that you don't need the gear. But what I would say is kind of set yourself up to bunker down for another, I don't know, let's just put a number out there, 3.5-ish years, and just make sure that you've got what you will need to create, because you might have some time to sit and to create music, and you might need some catharsis. You might need somewhere to escape to. So if you've always wanted to set yourself up with like a nice audio interface or a nice new laptop or Mac or iPad, I would do it sooner rather than later. The other thing you can do, and again, be very, very cautious with this, but if you're good enough and smart enough with your money, Apple have like their interest-free stuff. You can do the buy in full stuff if you need to. But again, I can't stress enough that those things are designed to make you not pay on time, and they only make money through the fees that they charge people that don't pay on time. So if you have the discipline to use something like that to avoid paying higher prices in the future, then go ahead and do it. I think that this could be a boom for cashies, mate. Your local cash converters could be the place to go because there's going to be some deals to be had. People are going to have less money to spend on things, so you're going to be able to probably haggle a little bit more at the secondhand places, and your online marketplaces, your Craigslist in the US, and here in Australia it's mostly Gumtree and Facebook Marketplace. They're going to be places to get. And especially your bass gear, your microphones and your guitars and your things that you can pretty much pick up and test and know are going to work or not work. Some of your electronic stuff, be a bit careful. Sometimes it can have been in a bad environment, be full of dust or full of cigarette smoke or full of something else. So you do need to be careful with that. And yeah, obviously things with lots of moving parts and dials and knobs. So if you're buying mixers or audio interfaces or things, just check everything. Just make sure that it's all good. MIDI keyboards, play every note on a MIDI keyboard, because some sorry bugger is probably going to try and sell you a 49 keyboard with 48 working keys, and that's a pain in the ass. So don't do that. But yeah, I think that that is going to be it. And I think I think that is the answer to all of this sort of stuff, all this consumerism stuff, is that if we all are at a point now, and look, it's not that there's not new gear that's cool, but there's no revolution coming. So we're already at the point where everyone's got at least a 24-bit, 44.1 kilohertz or better audio interface or mixer. If you've got yourself a quality dynamic condenser or both, preferably, if you've got two different mics, and if you've got yourself a couple of quality instruments, whether it's keyboards or guitars, and something to record to, so an iPad, an iPhone, or a computer, you're kind of done. Like, I know that there's new cool things, like Arturia are always throwing in new features into their key step, and there's things that you can get excited about. But really, in terms of creating music, a lot of it just comes down to the software you're using. A lot of it comes down to you just writing and recording good songs at good quality. So I don't think that there's a huge amount to get super worried about for the future. And the same with our devices. I mean, I'm using an iPhone 16 right now, but that's only because Apple gave it to me to test out. And like the guy who's going to say no to a free iPhone. However, my business is using and reviewing Apple gear, so my business is built around that. It's not like the other guy has a business around reviewing luxury jets. If he did, fair play, but no.
Dude. Hi, Frank Terzo. We got a Frank Terzo in the house, everybody. Can you imagine, Pete, if the Australian Prime Minister was offered an aeroplane?
Oh,
what the Australian people would do? I swear to God, you thought tiki torches in America was bad. Fucking pitchforks here. We would be on Parliament House literally tearing these heads off, man. It wouldn't fly here. I'm telling you, that shit would not fly here.
Oh, speaking of not flying, the Prime Minister's plane until about 5 years ago was an old 707. If you know about aviation, those things barely get off the ground. So he's not flying in much luxury, I can tell you that. But yeah, what was my point? Yeah, you don't need the latest and greatest gear. You don't need a $400 million audio interface or a plane to get the job done. You can use the gear that you have. But yeah, it is a good time to do that. And I think the buy, swap, sell culture will just increase, and we'll get better with that sort of thing. Just this week here in Australia, we have a really interesting thing that apparently doesn't happen in other parts of the world, which I find fascinating. We have hard rubbish. Jade, you know what hard rubbish is? Hard rubbish collection.
Yes.
You stick all your stuff out on your footpath, all the stuff you don't want, and then the council comes and they pick it up and they take it away and they recycle what they can, and then they put the rest in landfill. Hopefully they recycle more these days than goes in landfill. But this is actually a beautiful thing, because what people do is when you're done with something, and look, there's the official one where you call the council and they come and they pick it up, and then there's the one where if you got an old couch, you stick it on you stick it out on the footpath, you put a sign that says free, please take, and then you just hope that someone comes and gets it, and more often than not, some bloke or lady or some person rolls up with a trailer, chucks it in there, and you know what they do? They go home, they take photos, they put it on Facebook Marketplace, they sell it for $50. And look, I'm too lazy to sell my old couch for $50, but if someone wants to go to the effort of coming and picking it up, and then they sell it to someone who gets a cheap quality couch, everybody wins. So I think that buy, sell, trade, barter kind of market could actually just increase. And I think we can work around it. Now, is that great for businesses? Is that great for the industry? No, because I'm saying all of this, and I know that the likes of Rode are saying, please don't just recycle the same couple of thousand Rode microphones between people for the next 5 years, because we need to actually sell new products as well. So I guess that's the danger, is that we as consumers we don't have an obligation to, but if no one's buying any of the new gear, then the gear manufacturers could go away and could go out of business, and that's not great either. So it'll be a balancing act, and there'll be times where you'll just need to get something and you'll just need to pay the higher price at the end of the day.
Yeah. I guess it just comes down to being more selective about what you buy. Think about it. Like everything I buy, I think about so much. I'll put it in a basket. It'll sit in the basket for maybe 2-3 weeks. And I know I'm going to get it, but you got to make sure. Do your research, as they say.
Yeah, and please don't trust. Don't trust YouTube reviews. I know that sounds weird. I'm a YouTube reviewer, but don't trust just individual YouTubers or YouTube reviews, even reputable ones. Definitely don't trust Amazon reviews, or especially don't trust Shein or Temu reviews because they're all not accurate or correct. But yeah, just go to multiple sources. Like, just make sure that you've at least done your homework and gone to 4 or 5 different places and read 4 or 5 different reviews. And I've always said this: don't read the 5-star or the 1-star reviews. If you're looking to buy a new piece of gear, read the 3s, read the 2s, 3s, and 4s, because that's where you'll find the reasonable people with actual real opinions. Because let's be honest, there is no piece of gear in my studio that I would call 5-star. Everything has something that I don't like about it. Some of it's 4-star, some of it's pretty good. This Rode microphone's about as close to 5-star for the price as you get. In fact, this Rode arm that I use here is probably as close to 5-star because it is just quality. It has never missed a beat. Like if you use those spring-loaded ones, you know what I'm talking about. They fall, they rock, they move.
Squeak.
This thing is solid as a rock. It doesn't. As soon as you put it in place, it's there and it doesn't move. So, but again, I would say that in the review that I would do. But most stuff I'd say is a 3-star or a 4-star, and I'll say, these are the good things it does. These are the bad things. If someone is just so glowing, they're like, oh, this is the best product I've ever had, and it does everything in the world ever. Or if someone says, piece of crap, don't buy, warning. It's like, yeah, a lot of that's usually the user error. A lot of that is that you haven't read the description. A lot of that is your expectations. You bought a $20 Amazon microphone, you expect it to sound like an SM7B, and it's just not gonna. So yeah, you got to take it with a grain, pinch, shaker, or sometimes sea of salt.
Or you bought an SM7B for $200 and are wondering why it doesn't sound like an SM7B. Guess what? The SM7B is the most pirated, faked microphone on the fucking market. There are so many fake SM7Bs. Anyway, the point we're trying to make here with this, what can you do, is just make music with what you got. That's really ultimately, nothing's changed. I think both of us been saying this for ages. I stopped doing hardware reviews a while ago, mainly because of some headphones I reviewed, the Rode headphones, and a whole bunch of people in around these communities went and bought them. Guess what? We all suffered the same thing. They all broke in this really strange place. And Rode came to the party and went, oh, shit, this is happening with every pair of headphones. What are we going to do? They gave all customers who bought a pair a lifetime warranty.
Yeah.
And I've had 3 pairs that are broken, and when they break, I just keep sending them back. And it sucks that I did a review on it when they first came out and didn't know this was the case. Ever since, they're all fine now. They've fixed the problem, you know.
Yeah. And behind the curtains, it's similar to that, behind the curtain of a lot of what gear reviewers do. And the reason, again, I do very little gear review as well. So the last gear I reviewed is the speakers that I still use, because I won't take a piece of gear to review that I don't plan to use, because I don't really believe in the whole, you get a review unit for 2 weeks, you use it, you talk about it, and then you put it in the cupboard or you send it back to the company and you never use it again. I only really want to review and recommend the stuff that I actually use. And I know I'm a bit weird like that, and I'm probably, I could probably get paid reviews for doing things, and maybe in the future economic situation, I need to flip-flop on that, and maybe I do. But again, I always will tell you if I get something for free or if I get something that's provided for review purposes, because, it feels creepy not to. But don't trust that everyone out there is doing it. They could say, these are my best new favorite speakers. And then you watch a video of theirs in a week's time and their old speakers are back on their desk. And you're like, what happened to your new best favorite speakers? Well, are they gone now? Were you lying to me? Did you just want to sell me your affiliate link gear? It's a bit shade.
That's why I didn't review those. I got offered to review those as well too. I already have the monitors I love. And I'm sure those monitors are, I watched all your reviews. You all did them. Mike,
they're great.
Patrick,
they're still here.
They're great.
They're still sitting in front of me.
But my thing was, if I take this on and review it, and then you're going to see my desk afterwards every day, and they're not on it.
Yep.
How can I? Yeah, that's my take anyway. So I want to ask you this, Pete.
Yes.
Do you think that things will change?
Well, it's a common misconception. It's a thing that many fear that the things we have right now are going to disappear. I don't even remember the words of my song. Yeah, it's
Sorry, I threw you off then, didn't
really
I?
hard to think and talk and hear my own music at the same time.
I'm
It's
such a
like when you
dickhead.
use that in a walk with me, and I just kept hearing it over and over again, and I'm just like, I can't pay attention to what Jade's saying. I keep hearing my own song. Yes. Well, I'll say this. I was talking to someone during the week, and I'm an eternal optimist, really. I know I can come across a bit pessimistic. Just see, the thing about Australians is that we kind of have a bit of the gallows humor. So because we're kind of sarcastic and a little bit cynical about things, we'll always kind of sound like, but we're generally actually pretty upbeat and lively and positive about things, except some people misconstrue our kind of dark humor as how we actually feel and are. So yeah. So that aside, yeah, I think we are, because the only thing that doesn't change is that things will change. And I kind of mentioned, I did a show this morning about anxiety, which is very apt to the topic here as well. And I talked about the fact that this feels brand new, right? Living in the regime and the system and with the challenges that we have feels brand new, because it kind of is to us. We haven't really had, and especially for the Western world and especially for the US, you haven't had a dictatorship. You haven't had someone that's trying to actually take over and remove the rule of law, as we were talking about at the start. So it does feel new. But talk to other countries and to look at other parts of the world, this ain't new. This has been happening for centuries, millennia, because you look at the Roman Empire, you look at the British Empire, you look at all of these empires in the past, it's happened. It happens, and it happens again and again. But you know what happens when you have a fascist takeover? You often have a revolution that follows it. And that's happened time and time again. The American
Absolutely.
Revolution. There's even one named after the country that's having the current challenges. So, yeah, when America were being pushed around by the British and didn't like it anymore, they revolted. And then they built the Constitution, and they built the rule of law that is currently being removed and destroyed. So it will destroy, but from the ashes will rise the phoenix of whatever the next thing is. And it usually corrects itself, because for every movement, there's an anti-movement. For every culture, there's anti-culture. It's why as soon as all of us old people got on Facebook, the kids ran. And now that we're starting to get on TikTok and Snapchat, my kids are just like, oh, where do we go now? So they're probably already on the next app that haven't even heard of, that I don't even know what it is, because whenever there is culture, there is anti-culture. And look, it doesn't have to be the violent uprising of the torches and the pitchforks and everything like that, but there will reach a breaking point where things happen. And that's where we're at the moment. That I think in the next few years, I mean, I was thinking about this beforehand, I'm like, if it wasn't so real and actually so damaging to so many people that I know and love, it would be almost entertaining. You'd grab your popcorn and you'd sit on the sidelines, because for all of the bad things of all of this stuff, it's not boring, is it? Like, if I had to give it one
Certainly
thing,
not.
it's not, I mean, it's tedious, it's exhausting, but there's something new and different happening all the time. And like, to the point where, as I was saying at the start, I kind of miss the old days where I didn't have to care. Here in
Oh,
Australia,
God.
the news was like, oh, George Bush vomited on the Japanese president. That's the only time we would hear anything about US politics. It's like, oh, they had an election. They do that every 4 years. Oh, and that guy puked on that guy. And that was it. Or Clinton. Clinton did not have sex with that woman.
Yeah.
That's the only time that we've had a care factor. Oh, Barack Obama's the first African American or first non-white president. Great. Excellent. These are all good things. But then they just went on and did their 4 years, and we didn't have to hear about it. And there wasn't the news, because we didn't have that guy who had to be in the limelight. Because guess what? If you get someone that comes from a showbiz background and you put them in a position like that, who was the last person that was the president of the US that came from a showbiz background that did exactly this? They say that that guy can run. No, what is it? Reagan walked so that that guy can run. It was set up in the 70s and 80s
Yep.
by Ronald Reagan, the actor. Yeah, it was set up by that guy.
I mean, Make America
So
Great Again is the same
it's
thing
the
that
same
Ronald
slogan.
Reagan used.
It's
you
part
know.
two.
It
It's
is.
exactly the same.
Yeah.
So it's and that was the time. What did we have? Again, we had with Reagan, we had the Cold War, and we had all the weirdly enough the tariff thing. Watch that Ferris Bueller clip because that's talking about exactly this again, but from back then. So that was the 1980s talking about the tariffs of the 1970s. That, spoiler alert, did it work? It did not. So yeah. If we think this is brand new and that this is something special and that we're special, it's only because with our eyes, everything looks novel and new. Whereas, you go back into, you don't even have to go that far back, but from 1900, you had the Spanish flu epidemic. And then people were thinking, oh, this pandemic's the first time it's ever happened. No, the exact same thing happened 100 years ago. But thanks for playing. And then you think about wars, and it's like, yeah, we had the First World War, and the Second World War, and the Vietnam War, and the Korea War, and the Middle East War, and the Afghanistan War. So we repeat. History repeats itself over and over again. And I say all that to say that we'll come out the other side. Will things be different? Yeah, because the only thing that doesn't change is that things will change. So it'll be different, but I have this fundamental belief that there's enough good in the world and enough good people in the world that want to do the right thing. Look at things like Doctors Without Borders. Look at the people that are sacrificing, that are working in education, that are working in healthcare, that are going on missions, not that necessarily the ones that are religious, but that are going to other countries and are helping people in famine situations and are helping people rebuild after earthquakes, and that are helping people in places where they've been ravaged by fire and by war and by whatever. So there are a lot of people that actually do want to. And again, it's the 1%. At the moment, do the 1% have an inordinate amount of power and influence that they're wielding in a non-constitutional and non-rule of law way? Yes, they are. That's what's happening. Is it going to happen forever right across the world? Well, no, because it's not happening in Australia. It's not happening in Europe. It's not happening in Canada. It is happening kind of in about 5 places. Ironically, the places that that guy is visiting right now to collect his gold-plated plane and to make deals for his own family businesses with Saudi people. Anyway, we weren't going to talk about those parts, were we? It's all about tariffs. So yeah, that's what I think. And again, do I worry about it? Yes, because it's concern and because it's affecting and impacting people again that I care about, because I do have empathy and sympathy for people. But it'll change. Well, what do you reckon, Jade? Where are we at? Should we all be cracking each other's heads open and feasting on the goo inside?
Absolutely. I, for one, welcome our new overlords, the ant people. Look, it's the anxiety is real, and I actually have here worldwide anxiety written as a point, because we're all feeling it. No, and this is the thing: you can sit there and go, I don't like this side of politics or this side, and pick your side. If you're still doing that, that's cool. But you got to come to, I think, when it gets to the point that we can't live anymore financially, this kind of stuff, that's going to turn people around. I have hope. I'm an optimist. I see the good in people, even though some people are a bit lost at the moment. And I understand the anxiety. But at the same time, I believe the children are our future. No, I don't believe that, but I do
Keep them
believe.
safe and let them lead the way. Sorry.
I'm with you. This is cyclical. And normally when this kind of stuff, I just hope it doesn't get to the point where we got to with another person who we won't mention, because that was pretty extreme, and a lot of people died, and I don't want to see that happen at all. So but I have hope. But in saying that, with revolution, here's the thing: music has always fueled revolution. So we are in a pretty good place at the moment, being musicians, and I think it's time, folks, that we stand up as musicians and write the song that is the revolution. No, but I've always dreamed of this, Pete. It's one of the things I've talked about music for ages. Like that, I say that music's not. It's not dangerous anymore. It's very safe, and everything has product placement in. I'm talking about popular music, commercial, big music. It's got no soul. It's completely void. It's vapid. It's empty. It says nothing. but there's an opportunity to say something. And I've always dreamed that I never really dreamed of making it big as a musician, but I always hoped there would be an opportunity in my life that I'd be able to play music that would make some kind of difference.
Yeah.
Even if it's a pebble to help us get to a better place. And I don't know, be more empathetic and caring and loving and rise people up instead of, I don't know, woke.
Mm.
Oh, fuck, I'm so tired of it. You know, the good thing is about woke, it's starting to fuck off. It's starting to disappear and, you know.
It's
they'll
like
choose
synergy. It's getting overplayed. And,
synergy. They'll choose a new word soon anyway, so everything gets replaced and it's cyclical and all that stuff. But I don't know, if you're feeling anxiety, write about it.
and we saw this with the pandemic, and obviously that was a more, I guess, collective enemy. It was a more invisible enemy that we were fighting against there, but it also wasn't, because a lot of governments around the world, again, not just picking on our friends in the US, but a lot of governments around the world managed it okay. A lot of them managed it really terribly. And the amount of music that was created during that time was amazing. I mean, Thomas Christ's album Virus Infect was like the theme album of the whole thing. He had the songs Mask and Virus Infect, and I remember listening to them at the time, just going, yeah. Like I was sitting here in my cage and with the mask on, going, yeah, because it was put the effing mask on your effing face and just deal with it. But yeah, I think that you're right. That it's times like these we learn to love again. It's times like these again. But no, it's times like these that we do need to stand up and deliver music. And I was in fear because I do a show called Your Music Live, as you know, and I'm always in fear of offending people, because there are people that play songs that say, I like God and God is good and religion is good. There's people that say, here's a political point and opinion that I have. And there's people that say, how about some sexy times? And I thought, if you go back in history and you remove all music that has something to do with sex, politics, or religion, you're not left with much, are you?
No.
Because a lot of the best music was raging against the machine, so to speak, or it was let's get it on, or it was doing something like, dear God, you're not really real, or God is good, God is great. And that's the thing. I think that's where the power comes in music. Otherwise, what are you left with? I'm in the club with Shorty, we drinking Patron. It's like, who gives a shit about that? That music is so vapid, or the sort of music that the shoegazing is like, everything is terrible, everything is horrible. I mean, sure, maybe if that's going to vent some frustration, but the happy poppy stuff is like, I like to step out and because I'm happy. So yeah, I think we could do better, and not to say that I I kind of mix it up, because in the last few years, I was talking about this in my show today. I put the acoustic away a couple of years ago. I did my song called Grown, and then, as you know, I kind of went a little bit heavier and darker because I did the song Choices, and that was right around the time
That was a fun song.
with all the different
For me,
time
it
signatures
was.
for the drummer who had the 4 different time signatures to attend with. So that was a fun song, but that was around the time that, here in Australia, we were having a lot of division around a voice to Parliament for our Indigenous people, and that kind of drove that song. That song exists because of the conflict that was happening at the time. Now, did we make the right choice that time? No, not in my opinion, but some people would say yes, we did, and that's cool. That's their opinion. That's their prerogative. And then A Lot to Learn. I wrote that last year because I was looking at how stupid everyone was and how much just idiocracy style dumbness was happening. And I'm like, hey, I got a lot to learn. And it was kind of cathartic. It's like, I got a lot to learn. And the subtext of that is, and if you don't think you do, then you got some serious problems. So it was basically putting my hand up and saying, hey, I got a lot to learn. Yeah, and look out, because if someone tells you that they got nothing to learn, I've always said that if someone says they know everything about everything, it's almost 100% guaranteed that they know very little about anything. So it's just always proven that if someone is super confident, answers everything, thinks they're the best, they do the best things, they have the best ideas, they usually know absolutely nothing about any of it, and they're making it up as they go along. And they're not to be trusted with having the right idea about things because they're usually uneducated. And even if they are educated, they'll usually ignore their education in lieu of whatever makes them popular, powerful, or feel like they're acknowledged or appreciated. And that's not a great place to be, in my opinion.
Yes. Hello to Joanna. Say some people have come.
Hello.
James Myers, g'day, g'day. Fishy, what's going on? Fishy Poo? Fishy Poo? Where did I get that from? What's happening? Rainfield Music, hello. Thanks for joining us. Sylvie, hello to you also.
Oh yeah, and respect to folks. I know this isn't going to be for everyone. And
Sure.
respect, because I saw a comment at the front that said, "Hey, I like your music. I don't want to hear you talk about this." And absolutely respect and appreciate that, and like 100%. There's times that I do that. I talked recently. There's a great creator called the 8-Bit Guy that does lots of cool retro computer stuff, and he made a video 2 weeks ago about Tesla self-driving, and he was putting that to the test, and he
I
got a
saw that.
whole bunch of blowback. And originally I was really upset by it, and I'm just like, why would you do this right now? And then eventually I came to my peace with it and just said, like, my comment to it was, I just don't think you read the room. I don't think the climate was right to talk about that right now. But am I going to cancel him and never watch it? No, if he does a video about Commodore 64s next week, I'll be there. It wasn't for me. He wasn't preaching that this was good or saying anything about anyone. I personally don't think that anyone should buy or drive a Tesla right now, but that's my view and opinion. There's plenty of people that did. And I do like the people that are driving around that have the sticker on the back that says, "Sorry, I bought this before I knew." And I'm like, yeah, okay, fair play to you. But yeah, it was just not the right thing at the right time. But again, I don't believe in it.
You know,
Yeah.
the thing is, look, and I want people to understand, this is not about trying to divide people. We said this at the start, or go down. But listen, we're musicians, right? This is the one thing, and Hippie, if you're watching, I don't think he is, because I think he's streaming over the top of me right now.
Boom.
There he is.
There he is. The thing is, as musicians, right, we've always been, throughout history, no matter what, artists, sculptors, whatever your art is, the reason it's art is because it pushes boundaries and it talks about the shit that most people don't want to talk about. Comedians, right? See, I don't have a problem with Jim Jeffries coming in and saying jokes like, you know, fucking punching, why can't you punch women in the head? Like, it's a comedy show. You're there to, like, just let go of reality and fucking release some of the anxiety and shit that goes on. But that's part of it. Creative people do creative things. They look outside the box. They make stuff that they dare to roam where people are scared to roam. And we, as a musician, I remember Hippie used to say, no talk about politics or anything, and I couldn't send in a song about my fucking views and shit, but that's what being a musician is about, right? So somebody tells you, you know, don't have an opinion as a musician, up yours, see you later. Be strong, speak strong, sing your views, and my only thing that I want to say about that guy is a leopard don't change its spots, man. Like, forget him being a president, right? If you go back through history, this dude has just been a mobster his whole life and just done things to enrich himself. And that's what's going on. I don't give a fuck about right, conservative, or left. This guy is a criminal, and that's just all there is to it. And if you can't see it, you will soon when you don't have a house. That's my last point.
Yeah. And sorry, don't forget also that he wasn't a Republican. Like, I know he picked the team that he thought he could win with. If he thought he could win with the other team, he would have joined them. He first ran, people might not recall, he first ran for president with a complete third-party candidate. Then he realized that he wasn't going to win doing that, so he picked the team that was closest to being aligned with his desires and ran with them. So he would get rid of them in a second. If he could rename the party to the Trump party, it would happen tomorrow.
Oh, yeah, it has been. Well, now there's a Trump aeroplane museum, which if you go and look at the listing for when that company was created, guess when it was, Pete? In the week between when Trump said, I've got an announcement, It's going to be Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, or maybe Friday. In that week, they made that business. Anyway, fuck, I'm so frustrated with it. You know, the other thing is why we're so anxious is this game plan of just throw everything into the end zone. And that's what we're getting. This is why we're anxious. I mean, you know, the prices haven't hit us yet, but every day there's just something. And you just go, can you give me one fucking day just to, I don't know, relax?
And it's absolutely a strategy. If you've watched the movie Wag the Dog, it was about a made up war that they made to distract people from the president having an affair.
Yep.
Like, and it's again, it's art imitating life, imitating art, imitating life. It just goes back and forth over and over again.
Yep. It's they tested it in the first in his first reign. We've got an open forum. Does anybody want to ask any questions? If not,
great point. Yes,
so,
throw questions our way. It could be about anything. Doesn't have to be about Joe. Please, in fact, maybe something refreshing. Do you want to know what interface to buy? Focusrite, Scarlett, too much.
We got 12 minutes left. So if you want to know, you tell us what gear you want to buy. We'll try and work out the tariffs on. Oh man! Again, too. The other reason I wanted to do this too is laugh.
It's cathartic. You need to.
You've got
to have that release because it gets a bit too much overwhelm. Yeah, again, it's the overwhelm. Like you said, it's something new every day overwhelms you, and it wasn't always this way.
No,
and it is the problem of the media too because they do hype it up in the hype cycle of it. But
Deep Gravity says my wife was shocked by your language, Pete. Do better.
Oh, really? What? Which language was it? I thought it was pretty good today. I don't know. I said a couple of craps and shits, but I don't think there's anything worse than that, was there?
Fishy asked me, any opinion about all the white people being led into America? I think that sums up my opinion on it. We're done.
And sorry, Mrs. Gravity, by the way. I apologise for my potty mouth.
That's all right. She's been in Clubhouse with us, Pete. I think she's all right.
Wait till so yeah, I'm doing a show next week with our mate Mike, and I could announce it here. I haven't set it up yet, so it's nowhere to link to. But we're talking about the history of swearing in songs, so that could be interesting to be able to actually talk about the rise of profanity and the first songs with swear words in them, and because Mike doesn't mind a bit of a swear every now and then, as you probably know, Jade, from hanging out with Mike.
He swears more than me, and that is an incredible feat. It's an incredible feat. It looks like nobody's got any questions here. Oh, hang on. E-Urban says, what toaster should I use in aforementioned bath with the tariffs? Listen, E-Urban, that's not what we want to hear from you, all right?
No.
At least use a television set. You'll get more explosions.
If you need to get some frustration out, go Elvis style and shoot your TV, because that always looked like fun. This show ain't no good.
Yeah.
And don't eat fried banana and peanut butter sandwiches.
There was a question. Hang on. I'll go find
Joanna
it.
Lynn. Oh, jeez.
Joanna Lynn. Where is it? How far do I have to go? Have I missed it? Joanna Lynn. Why can't I find it?
The train leaving Boston?
Is it not showing up in my comments for some reason? Oh, here we go. A train leaves Boston at 2 p.m. traveling Chicago. How long will it take for Susan to boil water if she starts before the water is warm? Okay, I've got the answer. I'm ready. Tuesday.
Yep, 100%.
It's just Tuesday for everything. It works for me. It gets me out of all these problems I have. I guess let's do some final thoughts.
Yeah. So the actual answer there is no one in their right mind would go to Chicago. Oh, burn! I love you, Chicago. I've been there once. It was a city.
I don't agree, man. I played a gig in Chicago. It was one of the best gigs I played. And I got asked to get up on stage with one of the other bands who I'd never met. And because I was Australian, they're like, we're doing AC/DC song tonight, and you're an Aussie, and I'm like, you don't know me very well. I fucking hate AC/DC so much. And I got up and I sung Heat Seeker. Heat Seeker! in Chicago. It was amazing. Anyway, final thoughts, Pete. The floor is yours.
Yeah, so I'm looking through my notes here and just trying to work out if there's anything. The one thing I'll say is, Americans, if you keep putting tariffs on us, we'll stop sending you Bluey episodes. So tell your kids that, because they're going to be devastated if there's no Bluey coming through. Yeah, look, as I said, there's only three reasons that tariffs are ever applied to things, and it's revenue, it's protecting your domestic business, and it's political fights and trade wars, and anything with war in its name is generally not good. So don't do it. But no, I think the things will not be as bad as they sound like they are. So if you want to take a positive spin out of this and you want to listen to John's advice on this is that yes, things will go up. It won't be as much as we think it is. And hopefully it will drive up the costs to businesses through employees demanding better wages. I think if nothing else, this gives the union movement and the employee movement a chance to actually say, well, guess what? If you're going to put tariffs on everything and all of our prices go up, then we're not going to work unless you actually pay us a fair living wage. So I don't know. I think there's always benefits out of these sort of things. There's always flow-on effects into things that can be positive, and maybe that's one thing that it can be. The other thing is that we can. It is hard to not punish the in-betweeners by not the British show, but by the people that are the resellers and the businesses that are making this sort of stuff. But supporting people that are doing the right thing. Check out who you're buying from. Buy from a road. If you're going to buy from like an off-brand that is run by a hedge fund that is part of the 1%, maybe don't do that. So I don't know. Maybe we need to do a rehash of this, Jay. We need to look at companies that are ethically producing, that aren't passing the slavings on, that are looking after their workers and looking after their customers, and are actually producing things in the right conditions and are not owned by big evil 1%er corporate conglomerations. So maybe that's the research for us to do that we can come back and say, do buy from these people and don't buy from them. Because really, we've got to make sure that any money we are spending is going back into the music creation economy. And it's kind of why, even though Amazon and YouTube are our business daddies, as our mate John Oliver would say, and we do have to do things by them, yeah, buy from your local music store. Next time you're buying a set of guitar strings, just wander in and talk to the smelly hippie with the beard and buy your guitar strings from him instead of Amazon, because every little movement we do there can actually make a difference and push the needle and help people as opposed to the 1%ers. What say you?
What say me? I don't know. This is not new. We've faced hard times before. We'll face them again. That's the roller coaster that is life. We live in a sine wave, up and down, and it's how much we as individuals, we have a responsibility, I think. And this community proves it to me every day that there is kindness out there, and there is the ability to suck it up and encourage people, even if you may not like something that somebody produces, to continue to push people to get better. And we already have this little chasm in the world of YouTube. And I think we're in a good place to keep throwing those stones and making those little pebbles and doing what we can and supporting each other that way. Is it gonna end us? No, definitely not. We will come through this, and Donald Trump is a fuckwit, and that's it. That's my final. I said his name, but I saved it to the end. I saved it to the end because once a fuckwit, always a fuckwit. It's really hard to change. I like to give people the chance to change their stripes and do better. But man, when you've spent your whole life being an absolute and utter, well, that's your trajectory. So we've just got to stick together, I guess.
And again, I will bring it all the way back, because there will be people that misconstrue, and there will be people that will probably jump into your comments and say things like, you guys are biased and you guys are too political and you guys are saying that one side's good and one side's bad. No, if Sleepy Joe Biden was sitting there doing the exact same things, I would be having the exact same reaction. I do not care who is destroying the rule of law, who is not following the Constitution, who is not listening to the advice and the orders of the Supreme Court, who is blatantly being corrupt in plain sight. I don't care who they are. I don't care what party they represent. And if that's too cliche, and if you're like, oh, well, then I don't like you, it's probably more about you than it is about me. So maybe just have a little look and a think of how you're how you think about the world and how you think about things. Because I love you, and if you don't love me, that's on you. Because if you're a person, I wish the best for you, and I hope you wish the best for me. And if you don't, then yeah, well, I'm sorry we can't come together.
Yeah. Yeah, look,
Ding.
again, this is not to divide, this is to unite. Like, I agree 100%. I was I have been through my whole life, incredibly harsh on both parties, left, right. Man, if you're fucked, you're just going to cop it no matter what. That's just the way it is. And we're in a bad position with this particular person. And I don't know how we're going to fix it. But we are very lucky. We are in a great position here as musicians. We have, even if the whole world exploded tomorrow and we were left, I'd be pretty happy with this. What, roughly 500 people that go to each show in the live chat? I'd be happy with that. In fact, can we make that happen? Is there a button I can press to make that happen? Well,
yes, we will all rise together, someone once said.
There we go. Well, thank you, Pete, for coming on and discussing this.
Cheers.
It takes a lot of balls to get up here and talk about this stuff in this era where people get really upset, man. And, so I'm glad we could do it here. And let's reconvene in a couple of months' time, I think, on this subject, because this is where the tariffs are going to kick in, and we're going to start seeing this, and we can ask people how this is affecting you and all this kind of stuff. So we'll do an update on this.
Yep.
All right. I got to let Pete go. I got to go. I got to upload this bloody Walk With Me video, and it's all finished. It's going to probably take about 6 hours to upload a 120 gigabyte file. Yay. But so that'll be happening tomorrow, folks. Pete, let people know where they can find you and what you've got coming up, my friend.
Absolutely. So each and every week I do a happy hour show where I play some live acoustic tunes for you. That's on a Saturday evening or a Sunday morning or afternoon, depending where you are in the world. Just go to studiolivetoday.com/live to find that out. And check out my show, Your Music Live. If you've never submitted a song before, I encourage you to do that. You can go to studiolivetoday.com/YML, submit your song, and we play about 30 or 40 songs every week. We hang out for a couple of hours. It's a really good time, and it's a great way for you to both be participatory, but also to be a viewer and to check out what's being created in this wonderful independent music community of ours. So everything you need is at studiolivetoday.com.
And you can be participatory, but did I fuck that up?
It's a great word, isn't it?
It's wonderful. You can do your part by participatorying right now and hitting the like button or the subscribe button or doing all that jazz, telling people about this channel. We got coming up tomorrow, as I said, Walk With Me. I don't even have a thumbnail yet, but also on Saturday, US time, UK time, Pete Johns, Thomas Christ, me, we do this round robin of live performance, and I'm sandwiched in the middle as normal, and I will be doing my creative hour, the 1 hour song challenge. And if you want to go to my community tab, you will see the 4 genre choices, and it looks like 80s pop is killing it, so I'm going to have to do an 80s song.
Love it. Can I just say, Jade, those AI pictures of you in those thumbnails, it's like you and Tina Fey had a baby.
Do you know what? I think looking at it, I think I look like Georgie. Do you think just a little bit? Like a little bit of that. Or the other one, like since I've been making them, since I've been making them, or I look like Valerie Butt. A little bit too. There's a bit of both. Yeah.
Oh, that one, there's a bit of Alanis Morissette going in that one with the screaming going. Yeah. Anyway.
It's interesting, Pete, with the ChatGPT. I've moved from Midjourney to ChatGPT. You can just put in all the details of yourself, upload photos so it knows who you are. And each time I say, make something with me in it, and it knows I'm trans, it knows I've got dreadlocks, and it just, it's great. I love it. Anyway, we're going to close.
No one nefarious has any of that data too. That's what's so great about it. We can totally trust Sam Altman and everyone with your data.
Everyone's got my data anyway, and even some people who don't want it. So we're going to go out today by playing a song that hopefully will encourage you to stand up, fight. And I'm not saying to grab weapons and do all this stuff. Just be vigilant. Just support each other. Just remain, have some empathy and care for people. That's the easiest way to do something positive. So we're going to close out with a song of mine. We open with a song of Pete's, and we're going to close out with The Fight. All right, let's get out of here. Thank you, Pete, for coming on. As always, love you.
Cheers, big ears. Thanks everyone for being here and for tolerating us chatting about something, a pretty dry topic, but we'll be back next time to talk music and all the good things.
And if you are offended, don't be. I love you. All right, let's do it. This is The Fight by me. And do the things that make you happy. Mistakes make you better. We'll all rise together. Stay awake. And let's... Ooh-ja.
Bye-bye.
Down